This video is brought to you by the PhotoStick Mobile. The PhotoStick Mobile is a small thumb drive that instantly backs up all your video and photo files from most Android or iOS devices with one click. It's easy to use, and it does all the hard, time-consuming work for you. You ever miss that once-in-a-lifetime picture or video because your phone was out of storage space? Or what happened to those magical memories that were stored on your phone when you dropped it in the pool or your phone was stolen? Don't worry about losing those memories ever again. Just plug in the PhotoStick Mobile and hit Back Up Now. Click on the link in the description below to buy the PhotoStick Mobile and keep memories safe forever. FactsVerse presents 9-year-old boy slips anonymous police officer this note to catch his attention. If you're a fan of FactsVerse, please click that like button, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Ask any police officer about the stories that they have regarding young people, and particularly children, that were trying to get their attention when they needed help or when they just needed someone to listen, and they will tell you some of the most incredible stories you have ever heard. For one reason or another, almost every police officer that has ever put on a badge has these kinds of stories by the dozen. Children have a natural, easy relationship with police officers, with many of them dreaming about getting a chance to one day become a police officer themselves, just as soon as they grow up. And a fair share of them follow through with that. This story about a 9-year-old boy named Noah has been taking the nation by storm recently. An anonymous police officer has shared this story with somebody close to them, and that individual posted the story to social media, and from there it really took off like a rocket ship. And it's easy to see why. You see, the way that the anonymous police officer tells it, young Noah was acting more than a little bit nervous when he was observed by this police officer at a local Denny's. The moment that the police officer walked in and saw Noah sitting there eating with his mother, he felt the boy was trying to get his attention to tell him something, but he hadn't seen enough that made him comfortable to walk right over and introduce himself out of the clear blue sky. But the young officer kept an eye on this 9-year-old boy, shooting him a smile every time their eyes met so that the young boy knew that he was friendly, knew that he could trust him, and that he could tell him whatever it was that obviously was on the boy's mind. For about 45 minutes or so, the two sat there on opposite sides of the restaurant, never really reaching out to one another. And then it came time for Noah and his mother to get the check, at which point in time the officer noticed something strange happen again. The waitress gestured over to the table that the young police officer was sitting at and then hurried back to the waitress stand before returning to the table with Noah. The little boy scribbled something down on a receipt and then asked if the waitress accompany him over to the table, with the police officer watching every single step of the way. What happened next knocked the young police officer for a loop. Noah introduced himself and told the young police officer that he was really nervous about meeting him, all because he had dreamed of becoming a police officer himself someday as soon as he grows up. His mother had told him just how hard he would have to work to achieve this kind of goal, and he had already dedicated himself to doing everything necessary to make sure that this dream came true later in life. Getting the chance to talk to a police officer like this, one-on-one, that wasn't something he had an opportunity to do all that often, and he wanted to make sure he let his hero understand how thankful he was that the police officer was out there in the neighborhood keeping people safe. Well, it turns out young Noah had a birthday somewhat recently and had saved up a little bit of money. He was using that money to purchase breakfast for the young police officer as his way of saying thank you for all the hard work that he was no doubt doing in the community. On the receipt, the young boy had written, "I want to be you when I grow up." And after he handed the receipt to the young police officer and took a quick photo with him for posterity, he walked out of the restaurant with his mother smiling the entire time. That young police officer remained seated for what felt like forever, knocked for a loop by the kindness of this young man. Things can get pretty contentious between the general public and the police these days, but this was a simple reminder of why these men and women do this kind of work in the first place. Subscribe for more.